Welcome to Focus on Business, a podcast show for photographers with me, your host, Jane Goodrich. I'm talking to successful photographers so you can learn from our experiences and have the business of your dreams. So join us and let's focus on business. Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Focus on Business, the podcast show for photographers. And today I'm really excited to have Rod Allen on our show. He is a wedding photographer and he also calls himself a nerd for hire. But I think he's more than that. He does a lot of things. If you need a website, he's fantastic there, SEO and Facebook ads, all of it. Anyway, Rod, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm genuinely really grateful to be on it, Jane. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, tell our audience a little bit more about yourself. You know, what's your name and where'd you come from? See, you're from
from the other side of the pond. My name is Roderick Allen, but only my auntie Rosemary still calls me Rod. Of course, will be Roderick. Sorry, man, mashed up. Like, we edit this out. Is this live?
No, it's neither.
No, it's fine. But yeah, so only my auntie Rosemary still calls me Roderick. I've been a wedding photographer for about 12 years, I think now, on the whole journey. Mm-hmm. Back in 2017, when I hit a bit of a bump in the road and took my foot off the gas, I had to frantically learn how to market myself and all the rest of it. I've always been a bit of a tech nerd, so started learning how to build websites years ago. And yeah, it's kind of culminated. I do call myself a nerd for hire, but I do a ton of stuff for photographers, websites, branding, marketing, bit of mentoring, just general bits and pieces, really. Just sharing the tips I've learned over 12 years of chipping away at the industry.
Well, it's perfect that you're on this podcast because that's what we're going to be doing, sharing some tips. Why photography?
Honestly, I would love for this to be super romantic and some wow thing. It was cheap to get started. I've always been creative, and I used to play with my dad's Olympus OM10 as a kid. How I realized I had terrible eyesight was because all my photos were blurry. No, I wasn't that stupid. And so, yeah, I always knew I wanted to do my own thing. Like, genuinely, asking me even in primary school, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would say, I don't know, but I want to work for myself.
Interesting.
And I finished secondary school, and I was like, I don't know what that looks like. And I had a notebook packed with hundreds and hundreds of ideas, and I'm like, if I could only have 5 million investment in this business, it'd do this, and this. And then in the end, it was like, I got back into photography as a hobby, and then someone was like, can you shoot my wedding? And then it was done on the basis of the assumption they had 0 images. Like, I wouldn't necessarily recommend raw dogging it from the get-go. But then someone else asked, and I was like, do you know what? I was like, of all the ideas and dreams I've had, I was like, photography affords me the flexibility and freedom I'd always craved, with a great income still. It wasn't a case of, the whole starving artist regime, like that connect.
It's just that.
But in the same, for, in terms of setup costs, like, can't deny it. A few cameras, some lenses, some kit, insurance, your membership to Pixello. And the other bits and pieces that you need there, like, you're set up. And so that was the big appeal for me. I didn't want a conventional job. And so I tried to do that for as little amount of time as humanly possible. And I didn't have 5 million kicking around for investing in some of my other ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it can be a good thing, but it also can be a bad thing because you don't actually need that much investment. So you aren't putting together a business plan of like, how are you going to bring in business? And so, I mean, you did, but like, I think nowadays it's really hard because you can think, I can just have a Facebook page and I can just get clients. Everything looks so easy. Yeah. And then, if you were to open a storefront, likely you'd have to go to a bank to get a loan. And then you have to put a business plan together and figure out, like, have those discussions of, by the way, there's 17 coffee shops in your town. You shouldn't really be starting another coffee shop, right? So I think it's good and it's bad, right? It does allow the access, but like, I think if it was slightly a little bit higher barrier to entry, you might have a little bit more business side to it.
Sure, I guess it's one of the things, and I'm genuinely, truly sorry to drop the cheesiest cliche of all.
Do it.
So soon into this. It's awful. But
I'm going to clip it and make it a TikTok.
Well, now I need to make sure I get it the right way around. Otherwise, I'm going to come like a complete fool. The whole failure to plan is planning to fail. So, right? This is the key thing. I literally said this morning to a client, I have seen so many photographers that are far more talented than I am.
Me too.
Go under. And they've given it all up. And they've just said, no, been able to make it work. Like, yeah, it's on paper, it's really accessible. And like, that's great. I love that. Like, everyone should be creative. Everyone should have something to do that they find fun. And if you can monetize it in terms of business, incredible. But it is a business. And if you don't treat it like one, it will bite you in the ass.
Yeah, it will. And I actually really like that quote too, because I do think, I mean, I'm not the best photographer at all, but, I get fully booked, priced correctly. And it's just more about the fact that I do have a background in marketing and I did have a business degree for that. And so, but, that it really is quite difficult nowadays. Like I started in 2010 too, it was a lot easier, I thought, because you just needed a website, email address, phone versus
we have
now you need social media.
And I will never dance around on TikTok. If I dance around on TikTok,
no, it's not all about dancing on TikTok. It's about telling a story. I think you'd be funny on TikTok. I haven't done TikTok. I actually did one TikTok, and then the same day they were like, "Oh, it might be banned." I'm like, "Of course, James Lewis, they lay dollar short at everything." I'm too old. But all right, so if you were to travel back to your younger self and when you're just starting, would you do anything differently on your journey? Or
there's a couple of key things. I think I would. This is going to sound real deep, real heavy. I actually recommended to one of my clients a few months ago to seek out a therapist because so many of the barriers in our businesses are us. It's a bad approach. It's a lack of belief, it's anxiety, it's all sorts of stuff that gets in our way. So if I was to go back, I would spend some time trying to work on myself so I could get out of my own way. I would put my efforts into making a website that I was truly proud of and not just something that was good enough or like, oh, that will do. Like, it's really important. That's where people are going. That's what people are going to learn about you. Like, make it thing. And yeah, I'd probably do what I could to look into marketing. I have to be honest, obviously 12 years ago, things were very different. I don't know what my options would have been 12 years ago, but I had this conception that everything would snowball. You shoot a wedding and a bridesmaid will ask you, and the next wedding, 2 bridesmaids will ask you, and a guest will ask you. And, then after that, someone would see your pictures on Facebook and you'd have like 10 emails just from a Facebook post. And, before you knew it, you'd be rolling, and all of a sudden, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't.
No.
So yeah, I think I would just have a little bit more of a concept of how to push myself, and I would push myself. We spend far too much of our lives just kind of hiding under a rock. Again, afraid of what we can achieve, so we try and achieve nothing because it's comfortable, it's easy.
I would actually love to have like a therapist that was an accountant, right? For photographers, right? Just like literally all in one person, so you don't have to make a million appointments. But because I found that if, there's definitely the imposter syndrome. So once people figure out, oh, I actually need to charge more, then there's like, I can't charge that. But I do think that once you know the costs of running your business, the fear of being there, the pricing out there, but there's still the fear of like, well, I don't really want to like reach out to that wedding stylist because maybe I'm not good enough for her, or I don't really want to meet. And it's actually just your insides that needs a little bit more work in terms of your confidence, because we like hiding behind a camera.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things, isn't it? It's kind of especially being a wedding photographer, it's kind of ultimate and introverted and extroverted all rolled into one. It's like you come out from behind the camera and it's like it's a ton of personality. I was ton of height. So it's just kind of like Wizard of Oz kind of mishmash. Yeah, it's kind of how I perceive it. Like the day after a wedding, like I need like some serious alone time to recover from being so extroverted for the whole day. Like, I am absolutely giving everything on the wedding day. The next day, I'm like, unless it's a central conversation, my brain is cooked.
Well, it's extrovert, but it's also so much like external, like stimulation and like noise, and people, and it's just sort of sensory overload. I realized that after doing, I would do a couple of shoots, and then my kid had a birthday party and then stuff, and I was like, at 8 p.m. that day, I was like, don't talk to me, I'm going to bed. And so, but I realized actually, because you're getting like an event or something like that, or back-to-back family shoots, we are on, right? Like, we are literally on, and we're like hyper-focused in terms of like getting the shot, but making sure the kid doesn't cry, or making sure you get that one perfect shot for the wedding. Yeah, and you should relax the next day, and you should give yourself grace the next day, because a lot of people are like, oh, I should be editing and I'm exhausted, and it's actually just your brain is like, I don't need to talk to anyone today.
Do you know what? This is one of the real big things. Like, we're kind of skirting around it without talking about it, but it's burnout.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, what field you're focusing on, what niche within photography. If you burn out, you have to rest. You can't work through burnout.
Yeah.
And by beating yourself relentlessly on, I have to be doing this, I have to be doing this, I have to be doing this. That's one of the things to me that I love with having a grasp on ads. Like, my leads are generated all so on. So I have emails to respond to. I'm not constantly soliciting for bookings.
Right.
That gives me space to breathe, so that if I'm in a day where I just need to play guitar or go for a stroll or zone out, I can do that. Like, I'm full of just cheesy cliches.
I love it.
You know the saying about working on your business or working in your business. It's that. And again, do you know what? If I had another opportunity to go back and just add on to what I just went back to and added on, it would be start making steps to work on the business rather than be just stuck within it.
Yeah.
For a long time, like, I didn't even want to watch a film because I was like, man, that's like 3 hours or 2 hours of my time where I'm like, I can't be on my phone seeing what's going on. Like, I can't do this. It's not generating me any business. So it's just, man, like, yeah, like the idea of like watching like Lord of the Rings extended edition, like trilogy back to back, like that would have been the thing of nightmares. And it's like, that's not me.
Well, I love the working on your business versus in your business. And I think sometimes when we start a business, we don't realize that, especially a photography business, there's so much back end work that it's okay to outsource. It's okay to outsource your social media if you don't want to do it. Or it's okay to outsource your accounting. Likely it should be. It's I harp on about that, because when, I'm in the US, the sales tax laws changed 3 times in 14 years. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to keep up on it. So, it's one of those things where you just, and same thing for me with SEO and blog writing. I outsource blog writing because I'm not a writer. I'm a photographer. And so, but charge enough in order to do that. Otherwise, you're just going to be like, I should be writing a blog post, or I should be posting on social, and I should be doing this. I also think it is somewhat burnout, but it is also somewhat sensory overload, right? So even when I was talking about, so one of my friends is a graphic designer, and she had done like a whole show one day, and then she was like posting on Facebook, and I was like, look, you just were on all day, just turn off, like just you just got a lot of work done. Anyway, so say I'm gonna give you a good location. If you had to move your business to New York, what would be the first thing that you would do, or a first couple of things you would do?
Very first thing would be go get some good pizza. Like, that would be top of the list.
The first thing is visit me.
Oh, okay, yeah. First thing, yeah, of course. Well, visit you for pizza, right?
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Goodrich.
I'll bring you a jar of Marmite in case you're missing it.
No, I don't like Marmite. But side note, yeah, I'm the hating Marmite. Sorry.
That's it.
Do you need to hang up?
Yeah, I think so. I think the podcast just kind of died there. Really. You'll look at the stats and say,
no, just bring me. Just bring me some chocolate.
No,
English chocolate. There you go. So, all right, after pizza, what do you do?
Google ads. Google ads, without a shadow of a doubt. There is nothing more powerful than putting yourself in front of people that are looking for you with intent. So I could have a Google ad up and running, and I could probably have leads inside of a couple of days. In theory, if I knew what was going on, I could have a Google ad running and have leads ready for when I arrived. Like, I could set my business up in New York, and then I could move there in 6 months, and I could have a wedding like 2 weeks later. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing more powerful. Like, SEO is great, but it's a long game. And especially New York, like New York wedding photographer, it's like, okay, all right, that's gonna take some time. Whereas a Google ad,
and some awards and some backlinks,
and all the rest of it. Yeah, exactly. Whereas Google ads will get me where I want to be immediately. Like, literally, as soon as the ad goes live, that was it. I could be at different times top of the list for New York wedding photographer. And
that's interesting.
I don't pay for that, but as long as I'm convinced my website converts, that would be the big thing that I would do. Like, everything else wouldn't even come close to that.
Yeah, because it's an immediate thing, and one thing that I love about Google ads, I am a bit obsessed with Google ads myself. One, because I sort of I got ripped off by them one time when they changed the location, and like got a surprise $1,000 bill when my daughter was a month old. So I was like, I hate them, but now I love them because I know exactly how to do it without getting wasted leads, and so it's so targeted in the return on investment. And I love the idea of just being like, without the panic of like, oh, I'm going to lose my business, because my SEO and meeting people and this, that, and the other, all of that takes time. Relationships building takes time, and seeing that. But that's like an immediate, like, yeah, I'm going to get leads. Like, I like that immediate. So, well, we talked about Google ads, but like, do you have a favorite form of marketing?
Honestly, it's kind of all digital ads. So Google and Meta, so Facebook, Instagram, and everything else. I actually had a meeting with Meta not so long ago, because there is a definite shift in, I think, since COVID, in terms of, like, not necessarily photography, but people's relationships. People are getting together. There was a window where people didn't get together, so then there's kind of the wedding industry in particular is a little bit slower.
The engagement.
And and not only that, I think because there is a cost of living crisis, like the pennies are pinching across the world, there's less and less people that are like, oh, hey, we got engaged yesterday, let's get married like in 8 months' time. So more of it's like, let's get married in like 2-3 years. So Meta ads are still incredible, but there's this real sort of slowness that's starting to creep in. And the concern predominantly is that there'll be a ton of advertisers that will be getting leads, but they'll come in so much later that they'll assume that, oh, how the ad's not working, so I'll just turn it all off. And then it's go here. But you're not going to see the positives or the negatives until it's like several months later, which is going to be a bit of a hard one.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just, the big thing for me is it's like, okay, yes, there's a cost, but you are using it to drum up business. So you're looking for a return on investment.
Right.
And if you've done your business plan, if you've worked out your pricing correctly, then there should be an allowance for that. If someone phoned you up and was like, oh, I want you to do my wedding, but you're over budget, I need $50 off. You're unlikely to go, no way. You're like, yes, man, let's do it. And if it's a problem, then you need to start charging a little bit more. You need to go through your pricing.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's the thing for me, because otherwise, I'm not, my brain and the way that I am, everything comes in waves. One minute I will like, let's do blogs. I can't think of anything better than doing blogs. And then I will go, I never want to write another blog in my entire life. I hate blogging. Like, this is awful. Whereas paid ads, it's like, hey, I've got my website that I put my time and my heart and effort into, and I'm just sending people to it. And then I just have to wait for it to convert and for the people to come in.
Well, and I think what's interesting about that is, I think blogging is great. And I think I definitely made some mistakes over the years, and I did get Google blocked from, because I just kept cutting and pasting the same copy into a blog post. And so I learned a lot. And I think that's one of the things is people need to realize is you're going to learn a lot by doing things the hard way. But But one thing that I think even blogging and even Google ads or anything, there's a lot of more investment up front in terms of if you're a great writer, it's still your time, you're still paying for that. And then you can go in and optimize. Same thing with Google ads. It takes time to get them up and running, Facebook ads, but you can go in and optimize them. It's not all, hey, I'm going to spend 3 days on Google ads each week. It's sort of like...
That's the thing is, I guess it's the proactive, reactive balance, right? Mm-hmm. If you are paid ads, once it's all set, it's set. And 99% of the time it's set for months and months and months and months. And you don't need to play around with it. You don't need to look at it. Whereas, really. Whereas, like I say, if you're doing stuff where you're like, oh man, I'm going to there's a new cool wedding venue. I'm going to start writing some blogs for it. And I want to start, recycling my content to try and get more people invested in what I'm trying to push here. That's going to take more of your time. And, so it's like, we all have a finite amount of headspace. We all have a finite amount of things we can cope with. And for some people, that'll be infinitely more than others. And for other people, it'll be, it'll be a struggle to get a couple of things done.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing for me. Whereas like my ads take care of stuff, even on the days that I'm not in there. My headspace is not, I'm not able to do anything on my business. I'm exhausted. A lead will come in. I'll pick up the next day. Like it doesn't matter, but it's still there. It's still there regardless of whatever I'm doing. Yeah.
It's still like, it's like your assistant marketer out there doing, like your job. It's like, go get me some leads. But I do think that's interesting too, is like, they do take a little bit of time to ramp up, and really, and even like Google ads, you have to watch where their keywords are going and stuff. But, it's, say you're a family photographer in October, you should be running ads so people, can see, or, if you do newborn shoots, like run those newborn shoots because people will be looking for January, February, March when it's slow season. So in headshots, and I found that I just sort of balance out my crazy seasons with Google ads and fill it up with, because, I have enough repeat clients because I've been doing it for so long in the busy season that's how I fill my calendar in the off season. Not what's off season. So speaking of busy season, how do you have, now 2 businesses, maybe, your nerd one and your photography business. How do you balance this? Or if there is a work-life balance, do you outsource? What do you do to sort of stay sane?
I don't outsource anything. I don't. I probably should. And there are probably things I benefit from outsourcing. I'm a bit of a control freak.
Mm-hmm.
And like my old accountant, like they just emailed me and chased me and pestered me. I was like, I can't cope with this. The way I treat it is the whole make hay while the sun shines. How many people, not just only listening to the podcast, but how many people out there in the world have a job they hate? They genuinely loathe it. It's torturous, and they spend years, decades, just grinding away at it. I would much rather work if someone wants me to come shoot a wedding, I'm like, I'm there. Unless it's physically impossible for me to, get from one place to another in the right time, wherever else, I will be there. I will give it my absolute all. And then as the season starts to wind down, that's when I'll take time to chill, to recover from, if there is any burnout, if there is anything that's bothering me or getting to me. The hardest thing for me personally, it was more money management. And, because it's a rags to riches. Like money would come flying in the summer. I was like, oh my God, I'm so filthy rich. It's disgusting. And then as soon as the season would end, like a month later, I'm like, I'm flat broke. I need help.
Did you call your accountant back?
To be fair, the money fluctuations were, was years and years ago.
Okay.
That was brutal. I decided to get used to it, but I'm okay now. I think the most important thing, I say, like full stop in life, but also especially being a professional photographer, is to approach it with gratitude. I have met a lot of really, really grumpy, miserable photographers, and it's like, if you don't get a buzz from the freedom, from the creativity, from the getting to play around with a little fidget box all day, being creative and having fun with it. If you don't get a buzz from the different conversations you have with all of these different people, walk away.
It's not worth it.
Don't stay and become this hellish grump, because that will have a greater impact on your personal life. Just go get yourself a Monday to Friday 9 to 5. Like, it's not for everyone. So I just feel incredibly grateful. If I'm exhausted at the end of a season, it means it was a great season.
Right.
So yeah, a bit of self-love, a bit of kindness, or a few takeaways if you need it, and have an even off from cooking, and just you
have to give yourself some grace. And actually, my father-in-law, they have a window cleaning business, and he, thank goodness, really, because of the seasonality of it. Over here, like, it's definitely seasonal. So he always make hay while the sun shines, but you can be too busy. Make sure that you're, balancing it. And then when it's slow, you just have to make sure that you're like buttoning everything up for the busy season again, and making it cycle again.
That's the thing. Like I say, it's definitely hard, because, like I say, I only had proper employment from another company for maybe 3 or 4 years in my entire life. And it's nice. It's really comfortable. Just once a month, once a fortnight, whatever. Here's your money. Okay, cool. I know how much is mine. I know how much is my bills. And it is comfortable, but comfort is the enemy of growth, right? Like, we're never going to achieve the shit that we're capable of achieving if we just stay comfortable. Right. So, it's seasonal. There's elements to it that suck, but they're some of the most incredible moments of my entire life have been because of this job.
I was filling out something the other day, and someone was like, "What do you do for a hobby?" And I was like, and then I was like, I actually love my job. Like, I love photography. I love it, right? And so it's like, and then I just had a moment of like, most people don't get that. Like, we are lucky that we get to sort of try and make this a business. It is sleeping hard, but it's also like, it's doable, right? And it is achievable, and it is like right there for people to do. So I was happy about that. All right, let's talk about, I think your website, and we'll pop it in the show notes. I think your website is fantastic, which we know why, because you have a skill at that. So this is a question that maybe you do get or you don't get. Do you have any clients that when they send an inquiry form, you're like, red flag, see you later?
No.
Are there any ones that give you spidey sense where you're like, run?
Do you know what? The only one that did was a referral, and the guy messaged me. He texted me because another photographer was like, trying to get hold of Rod, here's his number. And that was brutal. Like, I was just a guy with a camera. Like, the guy didn't care. He was so grumpy. I genuinely, like, there's a little part of me that was like, I should do the right thing and like scream it. It's like that time fiance, like, don't marry this guy. He's a total bit.
Don't get married.
But, yeah. It was like my spidey senses were going crazy just for that whole marriage, let alone me being their photographer. One of the big things on my website is I try and make it quite polarizing. And I do that by having swearing on my website, because I tend to be a bit sweary at times. I actually say on my website, I'm not going to go drop F-bombs around the gram, because it's not about that. I don't mean to be rude with it. I just, a little creative flair in my language from time to time. But by putting the swearing in there, it becomes polarizing. And so people will come along and they'll either go, this guy's cool, or they'll go, oh my God, how unprofessional, how absolutely not. And then I don't have to worry. I can just be me at a wedding without fear of saying something or whatever that someone's going to go, I'm really sorry, that's so unprofessional. Like, I can't believe you done or said this and whatever else. I just get to be me. And then because I'm not pretending to be something I'm not, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, and also, like, I will, if people can look at his website, one thing that I love is who your ideal client is, like that, like, and you are talking to them so clearly on your website that, like, there's no vagueness of like, oh, that person might be for me, right? It's like, I'm gonna basically already get that. So I know that the leads that come in from my website, they actually like my work, they like me, they like they meet my clients. I just think your website is one of like the best that really does speak to people on it.
It makes a world of difference because, especially leaning on paid ads, I would much rather have, just for argument's sake, a lead a week that was like, holy crap, dude, how do we book you? Rather than having 10 leads a week of them just being like really generic, wishy-washy, and then me eventually getting an email back, oh, we've gone with someone cheaper, or we've gone with someone different, or whatever else. That's one of the things, like, ultimately, like, from a business point of view, it becomes about a conversion. So, how many people are coming to your website, how many people that land on your website get in touch, and then how many people that get in touch do you book?
Right.
You need to map that out. You need to know that, because if you need 100 people to get to your website to get one email, but you need 10 emails to get one booking, how are you going to get that number of traffic?
Right.
Like, even from paid ads, that's gonna be such a mission.
Yeah,
it's gonna be an absolute mission to try and get there. You want to book 30 weddings, just for argument's sake? Do you need 30,000 people to come to your website to get, like, do you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, when you look at it very black and white in terms of, like, here's the numbers, and that's the most crucial thing. So many people, they have a website, they've maybe brought a template, they use words to sell rather than letting the images speak for themselves. Like, that's one thing that I've seen again and again and again. Especially if someone's of a slightly anxious disposition, they will assume their work is so bad that they can sell someone on booking them by talking them into it. So they will have, like, War and Peace equivalent levels of text on each page in the hope that someone, which doesn't happen, has the patience to sit and read it all. And then they'll go, oh, wow, do you know what? I will give this person a chance. That's why I said, like, with the therapy, like, get out of your own way. Stop assuming you need to sit there and go, blah, 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 blah. Pack it in.
Yeah.
Pack it in.
Yeah, and if anybody, please don't go on a time machine back to 2010. If anyone saw my work, I mean, I had the blind naive. I had the lucky, I will say, there was no Instagram. There was nothing for me to compare to.
Yeah.
I mean, there probably was, but I wasn't on it. So I didn't have this thing that photographers have now where you're comparing or great, you're learning from people. But I was like, oh, it's fine. I'm there wasn't as many competitions. So I was like, I mean, there was on Google, but I just blindly didn't even look. And that was probably a blind naivety. I was like, I'm going to run my numbers and I'm going to charge this. And people bought it.
I think this is one of the things. I think, don't get me wrong, like, you need to know where you're at, and you need to make sure that your numbers are sound, because the last thing you want to do is reach the end of a season and go, man, that was crazy. Let's have a look at the bank. Why am I overdraft? What happened? Where did I go wrong? Like, we don't want that. But in the same, like, I had a conversation with a guy this morning, and he was like, I know it's a saturated market. I know there's a lot of competition. I was like, bullshit. I was like, you go to any supermarket, right, and you will find Pepsi and Coca-Cola on the shelf. They're right next to each other because everyone wants both. If you want a type of biscuit, chances are there's like 10 brands all doing the same kind of basic biscuit. They're called that. Yeah. Cookies is a perfect example. I mean, it's the king of biscuits anyway, really, I think. But
no, cookies is biscuits in America. I'm just trying to leave. Yeah.
I'm literally thinking the chocolate chip cookie. I'm sorry. I should, because you've got this, like, English background, I don't always assume, like, we're across the pop. But yeah, so you're buying some cookies, American cookies.
I mean, this is going to be airing globally, but, any sort of, like, snack biscuit, cookie.
Yeah, like, you name it. You, like, I mean, tires on cars. There's dozens and dozens of brands. Like, there's so many different brands doing the exact same thing. If we want, an item of clothing, there's not one T-shirt company in the world that we have to go and get our stuff from. So stop convincing yourself that it's impossible to get enough business. Like, it's a ridiculous notion.
I think it's also when, I think that when I started my business, I had such a blind naivety, I call it. But then I'm such a numbers nerd. I was like, oh, there's so many babies that are being born every day in New York City. Like, I don't need all of them, and I have to keep reminding myself that over the years. Don't get me wrong, I have, up and down, and you get a few new photographers in your area that are really cheap and really good, and you're like, oh. But again, I think I'll use this as an example. You know, a couple of our developers for Pixello, they had a baby and they're in Boston. I couldn't find a photographer that had a studio, because they needed a studio that did newborn. On Instagram, I was on Google. All the ones that came up were wedding, and then they did, no offense against wedding photographers, but they don't do the post newborns, and they wanted the post newborn.
No, they terrify me. I don't blame them.
Yeah, the weddings terrify me. Everyone did one. Sorry if you're listening, but you know, it's just, it's too much stress for me. Please don't hate me. The thing is I couldn't find somebody, and to say in Boston, it's a big town, right?
Yeah.
So in order to say, it's very difficult to find, so you have to be found, right? Like if someone had put a Google ad, I probably would have clicked on it. You know, I'm boring Rod. He's yawning. I don't know.
No, it's the end of the day for me over here. Just because it's your lunch break, I'm wrapping up. It's bedtime.
Yeah. You want some dinner? You want some tea? It isn't night. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that it's not that late.
Neither's in camera. It's all lies. It's all lies, man.
That's all right. So, all right. Yes, I think people need to get out of the mindset of it is saturated. I think there's enough work for people. You also don't need that many. You know, weddings 25. You know, family shoots probably.
Joe, what? Just because I'm on a roll of quoting stuff, like Henry Ford, right? Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So let's drop that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna just like make some quotes for you. You know.
Yeah, I'm just a quote machine. I'm just a dictionary of quotes. But it's a really valid point, because this is one of the really big things that I've seen time and time again for myself, for clients, for friends. If your mindset is convinced that it's going to be hard and you're going to fail, it's exactly what happens again and again and again. The minute you have this little, do you know what? I'm going to smash it. Like if people ask you how, why, like don't know, but I know I'm going to smash it. Then all of a sudden it just does. Like I literally 2017, like December 2017, like I was crazy busy even in December. January hit and I was like, right, let's see what I've got for the year. And I had like 2 or 3 weddings, like that was it. And I was like, this is my full-time job. And I was like, I'm screwed. I was like, I am screwed. I definitely wallowed in self-pity. And the whole time I was wallowing in self-pity, absolutely nothing happened. I didn't get leads. I didn't get like nothing, jack. The business was dead. The minute I decided it was going to work, because the idea of pushing it was terrifying, but not as terrifying as going back to my old IT job, I started pushing it. And another lead, here's another lead, here's another lead, another. And all of these weddings I booked from paid ads, that grew exponentially, because then all of a sudden I am at the weddings and there is word of mouth. All of a sudden I'm not posting on social media with the whole, please book me, please. I was just chatting shit on social media with, here's some pictures, I want to wear my Star Wars socks again. And then all of a sudden people are like, it's a really chilled, cool guy. Like, because I was able to demonstrate personality rather than desperation for a booking. Like, and that's the thing, like I say, just being me, being comfortable to be me, and the actually that it was going to work. Yeah, like it was going to work. It wasn't up for debate. The how was irrelevant. I just knew it was.
Yeah, I love that. Speaking of shoots that you talk about wearing Star Wars socks, like you've got to have some in 12 years. You've got to have some funny shoots. Just what is like something happening on a shoot that like you're like, I can't believe that happened.
Do you know what? To be fair, it's
every shoot, right? I'm just kidding.
I mean, without being really, really vulgar, the weirdest thing is half the time when there's been like naked bridesmaids, and I'm just like, whoa, like, hey, give me a heads up, like, just give me a nod and I'll scoot. I don't need to see that.
No.
But to be fair, I think one of the biggest moments, like I always used to wear like black jeans and a black shirt. Like that was after I ditched my whole wearing a suit era, I just black jeans, black shirt. And I had a couple, I absolutely love them, Katie and Chris. And Chris was obsessed with Hawaiian shirts. We did an engagement shoot and he busted out his Hawaiian shirt for the engagement shoot. And she's like, oh, what are you doing? She's like, why have you brought that? And he's like, it's me, had to. And about a week before the wedding, I said to her, I was like, as a joke, I was like, oh, do you want me to wear a really tacky Hawaiian shirt for the... And she went, actually, do you know what? She's like, he would love that. That would be such a cool thing. So I was like, done. I went on Amazon, ordered what I considered to be the ugliest Hawaiian shirt I could find.
I need a picture.
I rocked up. And the problem is I smashed it. I was like, as soon as I put it on, I was like, oh, crap, I suit this. I just really, really suit this. And yeah, so I turned up at the venue and I was like, oh, hey, how you doing, dude? I'm like, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm like, wearing a silly shirt. And they're like, oh, it looks cool. I was like, oh. And yeah, now 99% of the time I wear Hawaiian shirts to weddings because it's just like, it works, it fit. And it's, I know it's not funny. Absolutely no one is going to be sat there having a belly laugh at that at all. But that is genuinely, but that was genuinely like the most surprising, like, oh, holy crap. I never figured that would be a thing. Like, I never figured that would work.
So do you think people are like, oh, there's that photographer with the Hawaiian shirt, I need him? Like, I want him to...
You know what, I all jokes aside, I was shooting a wedding and the guest came over to me, like, I'm getting married, like, in 9 months' time, still need a photographer. I would love for you to do it. She had me on my website. That's the first thing she said to me. And I was like, oh, yeah, holy crap. I was like, you can go on my website. And she said, no. She said, let's just do this. And it was because I was in a Hawaiian shirt. I was chilled. I was easygoing. It was all about who I was. Like, she hadn't seen my images. And frankly, it seemed like she didn't give a shit what quality they were. She was like, I'm booking you. You're fun. She was miffed because she got married. I can't remember what month it was. I think it was like late October. It was wet and windy. And I'm like, I'm not wearing a thin ass Hawaiian shirt when it's that. So I went back to a black shirt and jeans. And when I turned up, she's like, oh, it's fun as normal. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I would literally be freezing to death in a Hawaiian shirt and sweater. Like, this is brutal. But yeah.
That's funny. But I do think that there's something about being, especially at an event, being recognizable and memorable when, like, for example, and it doesn't have to be clothing, but I remember when I actually did birthday parties, children's birthday parties, which is why my daughter's never had one, because I think I've had my fill. I will never do them. But I used to know, like, you do enough of them, you know that there's a certain timing of, like, where it's going to get crazy, and it's the cake cutting. So I always would help with the cake cutting. No one's needing photos right now. So I wouldn't cut the cake, but I would help give them out so the kids wouldn't. And people would say, I saw you were more than a photographer, or you were doing something else. And not saying that you have to be doing everything and planning and doing that stuff, but it's when other parents are there and they're watching you, it's a good thing to be sort of, not just standing in the background.
Yeah. Being involved, being human. I think this is a few people I've spoken to, we have this mindset that because we're being paid to be the photographer, we have to have a camera in our hands the whole time. We have to be taking pictures the whole time. If you're good at what you do, you can go in and you can get what you need in a really short space of time, a lot of the time. I mean, I'm taking all the newborn stuff way out of that. That is so complicated, it terrifies me. But like, if I'm doing candidates at a wedding, especially if people aren't really moving around much, I'm like, 5 minutes, I'm done. Yeah. So then at that point, I'm going to go and chat to people. I'm going to have a laugh with people. And the thing that I pride myself on the most is actually the feedback that my couples get from their guests. Like, every single damn email I ever get, they're always like, oh man, everyone has been raving about you. And like, that means more to me. Because I mean, how many times have we all been at, like I said, obviously my field's weddings, but how many times have we been at a wedding where the photographer has just been this really awkward little dick, just kind of floating around, just being this social pariah and not my chance.
Interrupting your conversation.
Yeah. It's like genuinely, like, we talk about, couples, I know you need a photographer, I know you not might like having your picture taken. But like, neither do their guests. Their guests aren't a big fan of it either. And so you've got a photographer, they're like heavy breathing, like, oh, great. Yeah, I'm having a whale at the time. Can't wait to get drunk and then see all the embarrassing pictures that guy gets.
Yeah.
So yeah, being human. There's nothing great in like business, right? Let's go back to the business. People buy from people. Show that you're a real person and not some kind of just artificial saying what you think you should say. Just be you.
But I like that because actually at events, I always feel like I should be photographing over and over and over again. But the ones that have, I remember like making conversations with people because I'm like, I've gotten everybody here. I've gotten the shots that I know I need for the album. Like, do I really need to get somebody eating and interrupting that? No. No one likes eating shots.
That's the thing. Like I say, to a degree, you need to just carry a little bit of confidence with you, and a bit of belief. Like, you're the professional. People are paying for the result. If you're happy with the result that you're getting, you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Like,
you have the confidence.
Yeah, if I went to like Hans Zimmer and I gave him an absolute fortune to write me a piece of music for a promo video I was doing, and he gave me, I booked him for like an hour, say, and he gave me 30 seconds and was like, there's your song. I'd be like, you are a genius. Thank you so much. This is incredible. Like, yeah, we don't need to, but ultimately, every single time you push that shutter button, there is a cost. Whether it's your time or the equipment or whatever, every single time that shutter button comes down, it's costing you something. So I'm not saying don't push it more than you need to as such, but don't push it for the sake of pushing it. Because all you're doing in an attempt to look busy, you are generating wear and tear on your equipment, you are filling up your hard drive space, you are maxing out your SD cards and all the other crap, and then you're giving yourself an absolute headache when you get to editing because you even risk the chance of just beating yourself up. You're like, oh man, these pictures suck. I'm an awful photographer. It's like, no, you didn't care because you knew in your heart of hearts, like, I was done 20 minutes ago. Like, I'm just burning time between now and the next bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a really good idea. So in wrapping up, I would like you to tell one tip that you would give to a new photographer just starting out. Like, what would you tell them? Say it's your cousin who's 18, and what would you tell them to do? I don't know.
See, this is where I don't, before I don't. But this is where I would be ridiculously cheeky now. But like, read a blog post that tells you the top 10 things to do when starting out as a photographer.
I have 24 things to do. No, I'm just kidding.
That's
right. 2024.
Yeah, you lost me on that one. But I'm sorry. Do you want me to laugh? And we'll just edit
no.
out.
Yeah, I'm not funny. I know.
No, now I just feel bad. Now I feel bad.
No, it's all right. I'll just say, hey, mate, what would you, XYZ?
I think, do you know what? So one of the big things is your camera is not necessarily going to make you a better photographer.
Mm-hmm.
When I started out, I assumed I needed Canon kit to be a professional. And I remember laying in bed one morning and I went on a website for secondhand camera gear in the UK. And I added 2 5D Mark III bodies to my basket, a section of L series prime lenses, the 24-70 and the 70-200. Because, you need these.
I love the 24-70, man. The 24-70 is my favorite.
Joe, I've never used one, but like I know I'd never buy one. I would never buy one anymore. But I remember I added all this stuff into my basket and it came to like just shy of like £14,000. And I was like, oh man, well that's what I need for this business for me to be a professional. And it was total nonsense. It was all bullshit. I shoot with the Fuji X Pro 2s, right? These are old cameras. They are old. They are, in the grand scheme of things, really quite affordable. The lenses I use, I have a 35mm f1.4 and an 18mm f2. Again, really cheap lenses. You can get them both for like £800. Like it's really, really cheap stuff. And I use it for every single wedding. And I've used it for weddings going back a few years now. Those cameras are capable of far more than I throw at them. So if you are investing in yourself in the beginning of the business, invest in the things that matter. Invest in making sure that your website looks great. I'm not saying, hire me. This isn't a segue into me being like, here's my website thing. Don't forget, you can get me to do it for £1 million. It's not. I'm not saying that at all.
It's cheaper than $1 million.
Well, it is cheaper than $1 million. Yeah, I'm doing a special offer. No. But yeah, so it's like, make sure your website is incredible. Make sure you're not embarrassed to say, if someone goes, what's your website? Make sure you are absolutely going, oh my God, I'm so glad you are.
Yeah,
make sure
proud
you
of it.
feel that. Yeah, being proud of it. And don't get me wrong, like I'm aware that like, the 1855 kit lens, like that's genuinely a bad lens. Like that, yes, it's great for starting out, but there's a lot of stuff in terms of just quality that it will fall short. But like I've shot weddings on like the Canon 1.8 50mm, the nifty 50, the little cheap one. Like I was really happy with the result. So like this is the thing, like do not beat yourself up going, oh, if I don't have like the latest Sony Alpha series with the latest this, like I'm not going to achieve, like you can achieve your goals. If you believe that your camera's holding your eye, you might just be getting in your own way.
Yeah.
One thing I would say is that mirrorless is still amazing. Like I don't think I could go back to a DSLR. So I will, there is a caveat.
Well, can you just not say that? I am still DSLR. I really want a mirrorless. I really want a mirrorless.
Like your studio environment, right? So
and
right,
outdoors.
Okay. But for a wedding at least, where like the light is constantly ever changing, like not having to worry about what your settings are, you'll see if it's over or under. Like that is really useful. That is really useful.
No, I really.
Have I just timed to the end? Have we got all the way through this podcast and then the last minute just absolutely ruined it? For the people that stayed on past the Marmite.
The 5 mate. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, we are wrapping up, so tell everyone. Yeah, you're going to just send me a mirrorless camera. That would be great. And tell everyone.
X Pro 1. It's like $200.
Fine. I'll take it. We will put it in the show notes as well, where they can find you, but just tell everyone a little bit more where they can find you.
And yeah, literally. So my website's roderickallen.co.uk. That's Allen with ALAN, not ALL in case.
EN.
Yeah, so many different variations. But yeah, at the very, very bottom of the website, there's a little thing that says for photographers. If you click on that, that takes you through the little breakdown of some of the bits. I'm still working on it, so they might not all be there and ready to go. But drop me an email if you want. If you're just a case for some of them, chit chat or a bit of guidance, like whatever, it's all good.
That's cool.
Like, yeah, I do a ton of stuff, but I don't want to. I'm grateful to be here. Like, the sales pitch is just like a nice little cherry on top. But it's not the reason I'm here. It's not like Jane didn't email me going, "Will you be on my podcast?" And then we go like, "What trains how many leads will I get from it?" Like, I'm just
Well, I appreciate the shits and giggles, and it's been amazing. Thank you so much, Rob. You're always a pleasure. And people, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.